Hello everyone, welcome to this talk. Storyteller, light camera interaction, working with the new sequencer from Unity. My name is Martin Paradis, and I will be your host for the next 30 minutes. So this talk will be divided like this. I will start by a brief introduction of the tool, then I will show you some nice trick in the addition from the animation and sound perspective. Then I will dive into a very super important part for you, which is the presentation of the APIs that you could extend and integrate into your own production for a sequencer, showing you some examples, and then closing up with the conclusion. So I think you have already heard of this tool called a sequencer and/or director. And without any delays, here it is. But first, I must call for a disclaimer here, because every screenshot that you will see here today, every video, then, well, the UI is not finished. The UI is still in flux, changing. We work with a good UI designer, but don't take anything for granted here. So this is a screenshot taken from the last week version. So here it is. At the top, you could see the transport button, the play, pause, next clip, previous clip, go to beginning and go to end of the sequence. On the left, you have all the tracks. On the right, you have all the clips. And in between, you see the timeline and the time cursor or the time positioner. Out of the box, this tool out of the box, which means when you download this tool in the upcoming version of Unity, we support animation of any kind. We support sounds and we support animation of scripts, but not any kind of scripts. Your scripts. Later, I will show you how you could do that. With such a tools, a lot of people have a lot of things in their mind. So the question is, what can I do with it? Because we can do a lot of things with it. And the answer here, and the big reveal here, is this. I'm sure you recognize these screenshots. They were taken from the Adam demo that you saw yesterday. But the thing is, the Adam demo has been produced, edited, and assembled into this tool, into the storytelling tool that I just showed you. So for a couple of months, Adam demo team worked with us internally at Unity to create this fantastic, beautiful demo of, let's say, 4 minutes. This tool, and in the first version, will focus mainly on scripted event and cinematic. For us, scripted event and cinematic is just a matter of do you let the control to the player or not. I will then, here you have a small video that's showing you some manipulations that you could do inside the sequencer itself. So this is just a tease to show you what you can do from the manipulations point of view and standpoint from the editor, for the artist, and so on. Now, let's say you work on a game, a fighting game, a sword fighting games, and you already have all your animation for the game, but you want to create some cinematic effect, some cinematic moment inside the game. So you don't want to recreate all the animations just for this small moment. No problems, because our tool in Unity, you just drag and drop any animation clips on the track, and you assemble them to create, well, this kind of moment. Well, this is much more like a programmer's art, but you could imagine with your own asset, with your own stuff, what you could do. Another example here from the animation point of view is the animation clip. An animation clip is nothing more than what you are getting used to. So you create your animations in Unity with your asset, and then you drag and drop your animation clip on the animation track. Then you bind the track to a character or to a game object into the scene. In this example, you have two clips, one called Bind Pause and the other one called Dance 1 Hour Final. Putting them back to back, and when you press play, well, it's obvious that animation will be played back to the character or to the character in the game. Notice the small icons between these two clips, which indicate you that there's no time gap between the clip. But we can do much more than that, much more interesting stuff, like this. Kish. What happens now if you take two clips and you take one and you put it onto another one? Then we create some kind of blend between them. And thanks to the playable system underneath, where we are able to create seamless animation moment with the blend. Which means that even though with two animations that are not meant to be blended, to be stitched together, you can blind them and having to put like a much more, like I said, a seamless experience to the cinematic. Of course, the blend time and everything could be adjusted into the inspector. Here is another feature that we put. We call that auto key. Auto key is the ability to animate any properties on any component on any game object. In this example, I will animate the color of the light and see the result and see what we can do from the editor point of view. So I start by creating an animation track, bind it to the light. Then I turn on the auto key feature, which is obvious because the track turned red. Then I change the color of lights to create 3 keyframes. Maybe here you don't see it very clearly, but there's 3 keyframes, yes, thank you, into the track. To see the keyframes, you open up the track, and you could see all the keyframes in a dope sheet style. From there, you can take the keyframes, move it, delete it, adjust the value. And on the left, you could see all the properties that you are just keyframe. If this view is not enough, then you can switch to the curve view. And then here, you can take a key, modify a key, delete a key, and adjust whatever you want. From there, the keyframes are stuck in time on the track. We call that the infinite track mode. But if it's not enough for you, you can convert it to a clip. And the interesting part here is the clip could be placed anywhere in the timeline. Duplicate, shrink, whatever. From the sound now. From the sound perspective, well, you have a soundtrack, you drag an audio clip on the track, and guess what? It plays the sounds. But the nice trick here is not there. It's exactly there. There's another kind of track called the effect deck, where you can drag and drop effects. By default, there will be like between 8 and 10 effects with sequencer. It can go to low pass filter, chorus, distortion, flange. Well, you could imagine, and you can also build your own audio effects here. The interesting part of the audio effects then is when you play the sequence, when you play this, then there's no rendering, there's no baking of the effect. The effect is being applied real time to the audio. So when the time positioner goes straight in front of the distortion, then the sound will be distorted in real time. So it could allow you to rapidly iterate from the sound perspective by modifying parameters, just tweaking a bit, timing and everything, so you don't need to recompile or to rebake effects like we could see in other software. Now, from the user perspective, what you could do with that? Well, at Unity, we're very good at developing APIs. And in this case, this case, excuse me, is still the same. We create 4 kinds of APIs for you to build, integrate, and meet your needs into your production. The first one is the director component. The director component is the component mandatory to play a sequence in Unity. Here it is. Super simple. The first member is called playables, but in fact, it could be like renamed like sequence. It refers to the sequence you want to play. Then you choose the update method of your sequence. By default, this is a game time, but it may not always be the case. Let's say we have also the fixed delta time. We have also manual time, where you could advance the time manually for your own purpose. Then you choose the initial state of your sequence. Does my sequence starting right away? Does my sequence need to be paused, and then I'm controlling it via script? Then you have the extrapolation. Extrapolation is the behavior of the sequence once the sequence is finished. Sometimes the good behavior is, well, my sequence is finished, do nothing. But otherwise, it could be, at the end of the sequence, go back to the beginning, and we start a loop there. Or otherwise, like in this example, when we reach the end, go back to the beginning in a bounce manner. Forget about the policy instantiation. It has been deprecated now. And finally, we have the initial time. Of course, when you launch a sequence, most of the time 0 is something that could make sense, but otherwise it may not. And in this case, you could punch in a time that meet your need to start a sequence, let's say at 1 second, 10 seconds, or whatever it needs. Director component can be accessed via code. So this is a small example of how you could, let's say, instantiate, getting the director component, playing with some field, and in the update method, you could see also what you could do according to some logic. If my time is greater than 20 seconds, then pause. If not, then resume. And well, this is the basic to control a sequence. The other API is the custom track. Custom track are being used to accept custom clips, but also, it could also mean a custom track can be used also to blend stuff together, like we just saw with the animations. But this is maybe much on a more advanced level. So let's just say that to create a custom track from your perspective is a 3-step here. Inherit from the class track asset. Choose from the class attribute what kind of track is this. Is this an animation track, an audio track, or a script track? Then you override the create clips method, and boom, you have a custom track. In this example, let's say you have a game and you need a dialogue track for your games, which I saw a game over there, which they had this cinematics and they had this dialogue that was shown on screen. This could be the code that you will need to create this dialogue track. So I have this dialogue track and everything from the track asset class. So I choose, and from the attribute track media type, I'm a track of type script, because scripts means, well, user stuff, while animations and sounds is maybe much more directed. And then in the create clip method, you create your own code to create your own kind of clip. Then we have the custom clips. The custom clips, this is where the logic goes on a track. So it's 2 class processes. The first, you create a class inheriting from the playable asset. Then you override the method create instance, which creates an instance of your clip. Then, from there, you create another class inheriting from script playable. Like I said earlier, the playable, which being used in the animation and the sounds, is the low-level interface, the low-level architecture that both animations and storyteller is going to use. Then you override the prepare frame method, which is being called every frame, every tick. This is much more like your update method. In this example, let's say we want to modify the render setting ambient intensity over time. To create a clip, well, you have 2 classes here. The lightning class and the lightning runtime playables. One inherited from the playable asset, and the other one inherited from the script playable. You override the create instance, which in turn call the playables architecture to say, hey, could you create a playable for me of this type, please? Then the playable, which is where the meat is happening, where the logic is happening. So in the method prepare frame, you adjust the ambient intensity there. And what you get is this. You have a clip, which you could animate its parameter over time to change the render setting, ambient setting. Nothing more, nothing's complicated, super simple. And in the last API, which is, well, sometimes the look and feel of the clips and or the tracks may not suit your need may not suit your need, let's say. So we give you another API called a track drawer that will let you access the rendering of the clips of the track by overriding the color, the font. You could add icons, you could change the shape, you could do whatever you want there. So you see some example there. We have some events, we have some icons, change the font, changing the color and everything. So it's up to you to put whatever you need, whatever it needs to mean in your world, in your production, to say, hey, I need this and that. So there's an API for that. We met these guys, the Cinemachine Studio, which they have this plugin in the asset store called Cinemachine. And what is Cinemachine? Cinemachine is a plugin it's a plugin that helps you to create nice camera shot in a more cinematic way. So we call them, we bring them back in Montreal and say, well, look, we have this tool, we have this API. Could you just please bring your stuff with our API and build something nice and fancy in our sequencer? And guess what? Well, they just did it. Here you see, you have this camera shot at the back, at the bottom here. They have a camera shot track, which lets you select which kind of shot, which is the best, and the guy just edit the shot. And the nice thing here is that the shots could be blended together. So you could see here the example of the plane or some kind of spaceship. Well, it's not bad, but when you blend them together, super nice camera shot. And these guys just took our APIs that I just showed you, and they create just that without any support. Well, they called me like only once or two, but not something it was not something super difficult. So this gave us the feeling that our API, even though it's not finished and it's still in the process, well, it could be easy to create some interesting stuff. In conclusion, though, so these are the takeaways that you must remember. First, this tool is being used to create cinematic and scripted event. This tool is being used to create, again, Adam demo, edit, build, and everything from a couple of months. Last year, you saw the blacksmith demo, which used an early prototype of the sequencer also. Second takeaway, it's super easy to drag any kind of assets into the sequencer and animate them. Third, you can animate any properties of any component on any game objects using AutoKey. Using the APIs that I just showed you, you could extend it to meet your needs, to integrate into your production, and then do fancy and super nice stuff to realize what I called your creative vision. Because every game developer here has a creative vision of what he wants to achieve. And sometimes the tools are just not there or not just up to it. But we feel that with the sequencer, you can do it. You can achieve your creative vision of your game, of what you need. And we at the office, we are very excited to see what you could come up with, because from all you do here, we are very proud of it. Without closing, I would like to thank the team, the director's team who works on that tool, beginning by our lead, Dominique Laflamme. The other software engineer, Sean Thompson, Christine Rivard, our UX designer, Yang Hai and Jean-Sébastien, which are our QA. And they work very hard to give you this very soon. Thank you.